What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am excellent. We're into September.
Oh my gosh, it's my birthday month.
It is. Me too.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thanks, man. It's about 3 weeks from now, but all
That's
right.
okay. Who knows if I'll see you before then, you know?
I bet we do.
we do work pretty
Probably
closely.
right back in this room.
You know what? I like red on you.
You think red's a good color
You know,
for
red's
me?
a good color for you.
Really?
Yeah, I like it. It goes with the sign.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. You know what else is red that I like?
I see now. He didn't really mean what he just said. He was just setting you up for a joke.
My friend Josh Yates. Josh, welcome on the podcast, man.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Josh Yates, executive director of our Ashland, Kentucky office, right?
Yes.
My friend for many years.
Pre-village caregiving.
Pre-village caregiving, good or bad. I'm partially responsible for Josh Yates being here.
I like this a lot better when I'm not blindfolded to start the episode. You know, you watch him with Julie, right?
Yes.
No joke, man. This is so much better to know who it is, and you're sitting here. When I would take that thing off, it was so disorienting. Even after only 3 or 4 minutes,
You got them all, though, right?
Well, I got the riddles, but you feel like you just came out of a nap or maybe a darkness retreat.
Oh.
Okay, let's get serious.
Josh, man, welcome on the podcast. Thanks for agreeing to do this. Now, I think it's fair to say you're an authentic fan of the podcast. Is that
I am.
right?
Every Friday night. I'm getting old. That's the exciting start to the weekend. That's what we do.
How do you consume? Because you're pretty regular about sending me a text every once in a while with an excerpt from the podcast or something made you laugh or whatever. Jeff mentioned Julie watches. Well, your beautiful wife Julie watches the podcast and is a fan. I think she mainly watches it for me though. No,
I don't know.
That's understandable.
That's why I watch it. I'm being serious, actually. I really liked it. You crack me up, man. I'm going to give you a compliment there.
Thank you.
I do watch it for you. You got anything you'd like to say to Julie?
Hello, love you.
Nailed it.
Yeah, you got it, man. First take. Good job.
I've got a slate of questions today that are going to be what they call hard hitting.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I had offered to do the interview, but Jeff insisted. So,
I need you to.
I'll prep it. Yeah, I got you. Let me build
First,
the foundation.
you hit him with the right, and then I'm going to come around to the
get it.
left. Right.
So, Josh, you're how long have you been at Village Caregiving, man?
I think it was like 2 days before your wife, Danielle, started, wasn't it? I want to say it was January 6th, 2021.
Okay.
I want to say.
Sounds like an alibi, but let's continue on.
2021, really, man. That's
I think
been.
so. Yeah.
You're going 2.5 years almost exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, time really does fly, doesn't it?
It does.
So what's your background in, Josh? What's your education? What was your professional experience before you came to Village Caregiving?
So went to school for business management, hated it, said I'd never want to manage anything. Mm-hmm. Had a bad car accident, was in physical therapy for quite a while, realized I loved that, and then went into physical therapy. Worked in nursing homes, outpatient, done some home health. And then I was offered the job as a director of rehab at a assisted living where Aaron worked. And that's where we met. And
we always had what I would refer to as a very professional.
no joking.
Yeah, we never cut
business.
up. We were always. There was one time.
No way.
There was one time where I had found myself in a closet in Josh's office. I was checking furnace filters or something. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I'd called him and asked him to come to said closet and get something out for me. And so Josh storms up the hallway, comes in, and he opens the door. When he reaches in, I grab him.
Oh my gosh.
I jumped out of my skin.
He wilted. It was.
Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah. Oh, he would lay in the floor of main lobbies, knowing I was walking from building to building, and jump out and grab my ankle or something like that.
This sounds like a lawsuit.
It's a wonder I'm still here.
I'm an attorney. If you want to talk,
true.
slip you. How long ago was this?
4.
We can still get him.
No, it's over. That's why I agreed to say it today. Well, man, so through that relationship, I eventually left that job and came over to Village Caregiving. And then after a year or so of being at the Ashland office, I was moving to the home office, and the job came open at Ashland. And you were just a natural fit for the role. It was Ben met you and knew you, and you came over. What was it? Because you had a really good job where you were. You had a lot of flexibility in your schedule. You did a great job. I know that you were known company wide where I worked at for how well of a clinic that you ran. And I knew people at your company, right? Because you were kind of a vendor for us, but you were really well known in that role for being a high performer. So what was it about Village Caregiving that got you to make that jump over to us?
A lot of it was stability. Every year working in physical therapy, Medicare's making cuts. You know, when I very first started, you went to a nursing home, everyone got 100 days of therapy. And you know, I just done some marketing to a nursing home this week, and now they were telling me that some of their clients are getting like 12 days of short-term rehab. So that in turn affected my job, you know, and caseload and stuff. So the fact that you told me your wife was looking at coming to this company and that you were willing to put all your eggs in one basket, because that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Both spouses work for the same company. If it goes under, you're hungry.
Yeah.
So I respected your opinion on it and stuff like that, and it sounded great. And I've done physical therapy for, I don't know, like 14, 15 years, and it was nice to new change.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Having a different background in physical therapy than most of our traditional directors. In fact, you might be the only person from that background. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, my question is, I was wondering if I had that on that card or not. I'm going off the script here. No, seriously though, you know, your background in physical therapy, how does that affect your role as an executive director now?
Maybe helping caregivers with workplace ergonomics. You know, when they tell me about they have a client, it's a very hard transfer. Talking to them like, how are you transferring? Are you, you know, putting a gait belt on them, or you know, you staying close to them when you lift, things like that. Making sure houses are set up. You know, I've been out making sure, you know, beds are close. There's no rugs for trip hazards, things like that.
So it has benefited you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would venture to say another way that he's not thinking of, because you see it, but you don't see the deficit of it. Your knowledge of the continuum of care, how home care fits in the healthcare model. You're talking about your experience in nursing homes and rehabs and short-term stays, hospitalizations. I think you have a unique understanding of how our services benefit people to keep them in their home.
Sure. You know, we'd see them in outpatient, you know, and if that doesn't help, then, you know, the next thing is like a short-term rehab. And then if that's not helping, you know, it's a nursing home. So absolutely. And our caregivers, you know, hopefully can extend that amount of time that a client has in the home as long as possible.
On a personal level, you're somebody I think that whenever we were talking with Keaton Turner, who a few weeks ago was on the podcast, we were talking about, do I have like that Conor McGregor fire to get up every day and keep going? That's I think that you're always ready to go, always up for any challenge. I mean, there are times I can specifically recall over the years where I've given you a challenge. Hey, let's try to get whatever the thing is. You know, I remember the advertising, right? And you get a big story written about the office. Or if it was, we've never been able to make a breakthrough with this referral source, I got this. And you go out and you make it happen. Mm-hmm. Where does that sort of energy, Connor type fire come from in you?
I can do the walk. I can walk like him. I just can't fight like him.
Oh, I'd love to see it. Can we get that on camera?
No, we cannot get that on camera.
Yeah, get those shoes off and let's see it.
I almost consider like this whole company is just being like, you know, one big chain, and I don't want to be the weak link. You know, I mean, so many people I look up to, from, you know, Ben, who started Ashland, Aaron, who grew Ashland, you know, till I took over, Leanne. I mean, goodness, you know, she knows my caseload better than I do. Yeah. And deals with every office. I don't know how she does it. So I never wanted to be the weak link, you know what I mean? So that definitely does keep a fire underneath you to keep going and growing. And
yeah, I can see it. It's cool to watch.
I mean, you had a whole list of questions.
I've never been called on like this. I'm coming out of the bullpen. How do you manage stress in your job?
Well,
Question. That's a good one, Jeff.
this job, like Aaron said, pretty different than what I came from. So there was a lot of new style stresses. I'd never had anyone call off on me before. I was over, physical therapist, doctorates of physical therapy. They just didn't really call off that much. So this is totally different. And I took the job right before the big giant ice storm happened, and I remember everyone called off. No one went to work that day. So it's been difficult. It's probably the hardest part of this job.
How did you feel on that day when half of your staff called off?
I talked to Aaron a lot that day.
We were at the Ashland office together. He wasn't done training yet. And I remember sitting at my old desk, and I looked out the window, and National Guard Humvees were driving down the main street in Ashland. I was like, well, this is fairly unique. It's not normally like this.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it was like 60 call-offs that day.
Yeah, it was a really bad week.
Mind-boggling. So
You ever seen these the memes that? So a lot of our caregivers, when I was filling the director type roles in Barbersville, we got to be good friends. I really liked a lot of the caregivers. They're all great people. And they would jokingly send me memes of like a car that's literally covered with snow over it. And it's like bosses say, what time can you be there? Whatever the thing is, what time can you get to work? It kind of is that way though, isn't it? Like they would be making fun of me and I'd be like, all right, you got me. That's true. But also any chance you could go to work today?
Right.
Like I'm desperate over here.
I remember that day I went and picked up maybe 5 caregivers. I just got
picked them up and took them to the shifts?
got my first four-wheel drive vehicle I'd ever owned and put it to use that day.
You got to. Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of that too.
Oh, yeah.
That's the early days. You wouldn't miss any shifts. Pick them up, drive them around. I was just a shuttle service.
Yeah. No, those were, I mean, we run into this now in different markets. Recently, we've been working with our Rapid City office, and the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally comes to town every year, and it kind of shuts Rapid City and Sturgis down. And there's a lot of people like to go to it, and there's a lot of things to do. So some of our staff wanted to have the week off, but we're in home care. We're in a people caring for people business, and that whether the storm comes or it doesn't, whether the electric stays on or it doesn't, whether the motorcycles come to town or they don't, people still need their care. Like you don't get to take that time off. And that is a challenge for our directors, is during these odd times or these unique situations, how do we manage and meet the expectations of our clients, make sure they're good, but also understand that we're asking caregivers to get out in bad conditions, or having people traverse interstates that are shut down, those sorts of things. It is a challenging thing. I don't want to discredit the food industry or retail sales, but it's a different type of responsibility that we have to navigate.
It is. Yeah. Let me ask you: is this a true story? Did part of the reason that you came to Village Caregiving, how much of that had to do with Aaron? So we're out here in the green room. That's biz talk.
Wow, you are just so much in the biz anymore.
Yeah.
I hardly recognize you.
Yeah. In the waiting room. And Garrett was telling me a story about how Garrett Adkins of Impact Media, he's not in the room right now, but I always love to give a shout out to Impact. Love these guys. Was telling me a story about how I think you had shared, he was over at was it your house or your office?
It was a client's house.
Clients, I'm filming testimonials and things, right? That you had shared with him about how a lot of the reason that you came here, and you said that because he had hired Danielle, and you must really believe in it. But I think it was something more than that. It was just that you had a lot of respect for him, and actually made a comment to a former employer like, man, you just lost the smartest guy we had in this building.
Yeah,
like, what did you do that for? You let him walk out of here? And so that was part of the reason why you're like, well, I'll go wherever he goes.
Yeah, I did. I called, I was a contract therapist, but I called our contract company and who had a lot of, ties with the company we're working with. And I was like, listen, they're letting Aaron go. He's going to leave. And I was like, if you've got any pull, you need to call them. You need to beg them to offer him whatever it takes to keep him stay where he's at. And I remember it was that afternoon. I remember exactly where I was at. I went out. I walked outside to be on the phone. He was like, "I'm leaving." I was like, "You're serious?" He's like, "I'm gone. I'm done. I'm taking this job at this company." I was like, "I've never heard of this company. Are you sure?"
Yeah,
That's a pretty cool story.
It
isn't
was, yeah. No, and I appreciate
how flattering.
That, Josh. Yeah, it is. It's very kind of you, and yeah, it was. I liked where I was. It's a good company. It still is. It's a good company ran by good people. They do a great job in what they do, and they're still people that we work with today. The Ashland office continues to service that community, and I think that's a testament to your ability there and my ability when I was there, that was able to keep those relationships going. But yeah, I've always said, Josh, a lot of the success that I had in my role was because Josh was in his role and because my director at the time was in their role. And so I was fortunate, but
yeah, I've heard you compliment him that way before.
Yeah, absolutely. He was great at what he did. So.
And I also know that you guys really like your former employers. I remember in the first time I met you and you asked sort of like, well, why are you looking to change jobs? And your answer was pretty much along the lines of, I'm not really. I mean, I couldn't get him to say anything bad about his current employer, which I think is a real testament to somebody's character too, because if you're going to walk in and be trashing somebody right off the bat, you're just going to do it to us too. I mean,
yeah.
So I like to see that. And I can tell that you really mean those words, that you really have a lot of respect for the places you came.
I mean, I was limited by opportunity there. Geographically, their home office was 8 hours away from my home. For me to have any room for advancement, I would have had to move several hours away, if not all the way to the home office. I was just very limited in what I was able to do there. Josh was kind of in the same situation. He was limited geographically of what he could do there. But I think we still worked for good people that did a good job.
Sure.
Just didn't. The path forward wasn't necessarily there.
And you never burn a bridge,
Yeah.
I see all these people I used to work for, all these home health companies. We still go out and market to them, and it's nice that they already know me.
Yeah.
So it's handy.
Let me get a little personal here, if you don't mind. So, no, I just want to let the folks that haven't met you get to know you a little bit better. Sort of like, what are you into outside of work? What's your favorite thing to do with your wife and family?
Oh, right now, goodness gracious, my kid's 12 years old. So her favorite thing to do is play on TikTok and hang out with her friends anymore. In the last 2 or 3 years, that's really changed because it was always us three outside riding four-wheelers, going on hikes, backpacking, things like that.
Yeah.
So we don't have the empty nest yet. She's only 12. So how old's your daughter?
9.
Oh, get ready. You've got just like a couple days left.
I know. We also have a 19-year-old.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So,
yes.
And I remember he was about that age too, early teenage years, and I remember telling Sarah back then, like, we're only a very short time away from he won't want anything to do with us anymore, and that's how it should be, right? I don't mean to give Cameron a hard time, but as soon as they can drive, man, it's game over. That's a really nice day for a parent, by the way. You all don't know anything about that yet. When that kid turns 16, all of a sudden you're not having to take them everywhere. Now it flips. They're delivering stuff home to you.
Wow. Stop by and get that for me.
It's life changing.
I'm terrified of that.
Built in DoorDash. I love it.
Maybe the top day of my life was my 16th birthday.
Oh.
What independence I had.
Yeah.
Right? I'll stay in the top 5, probably also when Cameron turned 16 years old, and I didn't see that coming. It will change your life. People out there that's got an older teenage kid, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you're right. Rachel's going to get tired of me in like 3 years.
Yes.
They'll be right there next to where you're watching TikTok and stuff.
Yeah. So back to your question, our stuff still is the same thing. I just feel like it happens a lot less now with her getting older.
So what do you and Julie find yourselves doing with your free time?
We hang out with friends a lot. We have a lot of friends over at the house or over at other people's houses.
And from the neighborhood right there, they can walk over? Or I've never been to your house.
Local friends. I think you've met Steve Mooney.
Yeah.
That spoke with you.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. They're over pretty often hanging out.
Just come over and share stories, laughs.
Oh, goodness.
Have a drink.
He's hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah.
I would like for him to come over and sit on my porch and hang out with me and talk, but...
Well, I'm bringing porch sitting back. I don't know if you know this or not. My favorite thing to do right now is to sit on my front porch and have a cup of coffee. I channel like my best 90-year-old version of myself, and I sit out there. And so he brought me a copy of the New Yorker. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I sent him a picture the other day. I had my cup of coffee. I had my magazine, and like people go by and honk or wave, and it's wonderful. Yeah.
He's really settling into his old man life.
I'm rapidly.
I'm gonna have to
moving
put a
into retirement.
caregiver in to keep him out of a nursing home. It sounds like.
Well, he made fun of me for that just the other day. He said, "Have a sip of coffee, Pawpaw." That's what he told me.
I've never
Sounds like
seen
that's
that.
you. Would you agree that's you too?
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't need to live my life in the fast lane. Okay. I like being on the front porch. They're jet setter in the biz. All right. Anyways, this isn't about me and you. This is about Josh. The thing I admire about Josh is I have known Josh for many years, and his passion for something will move from thing to thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There was rock climbing version of Josh, where Josh was suspending off cliff sides and
Really?
rock climbing.
Big climber?
Very passionate in it.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Is he being serious?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
woodworking Josh. All right, Josh dove knee deep into woodworking. There was the motorcycle Josh.
I'm still kind of in that one.
Yeah, he still has that. You were a fan of cigars for a period of time,
Yes.
right? Very.
Yeah.
I've seen him get all into things, and I love that about him because I lack passion on hobbies and interests and stuff.
Got into paintball one time.
Yes.
Found myself exactly where it was at, scrimmaging a professional paintball team. Those guys don't just shoot you; they pick where they want to hit you. So it
Wow. I didn't even know that was a thing.
was in over my head.
I've never heard anybody get deep in the paintball game.
Yeah, it was a season.
Golf.
How
Golf.
did that happen?
I was playing. Where was that at? I cannot remember where I was playing at. And a professional team came in. They're like, "Hey, why don't you pick a few guys in scrimmages?" And it was
Had they seen you play before?
like you playing basketball against LeBron. I figure. I mean, these guys.
They must have respected your game. They
guess.
selected you from the crowd and said, "Hey, kid,
Well, there was like-
over here."
They're like, "That's an easy target. Let's get him."
Well, Maybe. Never
Well,
know. Well, anyways, so he's got a lot of different passions. You know, Ben was saying it was Zach Willman, right? Who were we talking about? That when they get into something, they're all in on it.
That sounds like Zach.
Maybe he was talking about woodworking too. You guys
Yeah.
should get together and build some stuff.
It'd be fun. Josh built a deck at my house one time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Fire pit cover.
Yeah.
God, you really are talented, huh?
That's what I'm telling you. This guy handy as a pocket on a shirt.
Josh, what does a perfect day look like for you?
Well, it's my weekend without the phone, for sure.
Okay.
So
Weekend without having to deal with putting out fires. Okay.
Julie's probably there. Come on.
definitely, Julie's definitely there, and we've got something to cook. I like to grill, so I'm not crazy passionate about that just yet. But who knows? Maybe this time next year I'll be raising my own cow or something.
So it's a nice weekend day.
Yes, for sure.
Around the grill,
relaxing,
relaxing
nothing
with the-
planned.
A new podcast episode
Oh, yeah.
in queue on YouTube.
Okay, now what's a perfect day at work?
Definitely. I don't mind the challenges. The call offs, as long as I have a big heads up, I don't care. We can always fix it. That's something that's definitely changed over when I very first started. I mean, I could have a call off and say I need off in 6 months. I'm pulling my hair out trying to figure out what we're going to do. Now, if I've got a few hours, I'm like, oh, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember the old Josh. He would panic.
Do you feel like, say it's a Monday and you have to start a job by Thursday or fill a shift by Thursday, that feels like just an eternity away? Or does it seem like...
Oh, it's forever away.
Yeah.
But
That's something we hear a lot of. Like, before I came here, I might think 2 or 3 days was right on top of me pretty quick. Now I've got 2 or 3 days. I think that's easy.
sure. And I always tell all of our new potential clients, I'm like, I can start a shift in 15 minutes if you want me to. But you're just going to get whoever's off. So the bigger heads up you give me, the more solid schedule I can get you.
Yeah.
I remember when I came over, my old job, we did schedules like 30 days in advance. All right. And so when I came over, there would be these gaps at the end of the week that I couldn't sleep over. And now, if someone tells me on a Tuesday that there's a Thursday problem with anything in my life, it may be that we're not going to have electric at our house on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a Wednesday night problem at best. It's changed the way I function as a human. I'm like, oh, no, you're saying that's not a problem until Friday? We are fine. Trust me. A lot will happen between now and Friday.
You're right.
Yeah, no.
I've never really thought about this,
Yeah,
but so many times Sarah will ask me something and like, what do you want to do next weekend? I'm like, I can't even think that far ahead in time anymore.
It does get you in trouble because, you know, like some things, like Halloween costumes is a good example of this. If your kid wants a specific Halloween costume, you got to start working on that in like August to get that thing there in October. But I'm pretty bad about, well, trick or treat's Friday. As long as we're good by Thursday, we're good to go. Well, you know, that does get you in trouble on that last minute shopping. But most other things in life, you're going to be fine with that.
That's right. Last question. We've got a big family funded payer source campaign push started.
Sure. Yeah.
There's some bonuses tied to that.
Some trips.
There are some trips tied to that. Can you make a prediction of whether or not you're going to win one of those?
The trunks are packed.
All right. That's what I like to
He's
hear.
ready.
I mean, I'm.
Look into the camera and throw down a challenge.
Well, there's more people that can win than one. So
Well, that's right.
Yeah, but who do you think you'll beat?
beat
He's trying to get you in trouble.
Canterbury. I figure.
That's what the answer.
No,
Okay.
we should go the same place. Just try to go the same week. I told
Ah,
you.
that'd be
That-
perfect.
People have talked about doing that, and I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to come in second place to him. I'm okay with it in that, but not in the monthly thing. I definitely want to beat him in that RJ report.
Yeah.
If 2 or 3 of the folks that win the trip at the end of the year go to the same place, I'm in on it too. I don't want to miss the fun there. I'll come too. Now we just have a reunion somewhere. It sounds great.
One thing we have to do, and I usually do this at the beginning of the podcast, and I apologize for this, talk a little bit about your team at the Ashland office, because you have a fantastic team of folks that work with you at the Ashland office.
Absolutely. First off, we got a new nurse, Cindy Hurst. She's an absolute rock star. I mean, she had never done any type of, her background was cardiovascular stuff, dealing with pacemakers. So this is definitely different than what her background is. And she came in, and within her first couple of days, she's got all these new spreadsheets built. She's color coding maps on, for her VA clients, stuff I didn't even think about doing. I don't do the nursing assessment. Actually, your mom had been doing our nursing assessments for quite a while.
Shout out Joe Dunlap.
That's right.
Is she still doing some to help as we transition to all new nurses?
She told me that she wanted to be done unless I just got overwhelmed. So
Yeah, she'll always be there for you
Yes.
if you need her, though. I
Now,
think, but
her primary role now is a podcast super fan.
she likes the podcast.
But yeah, Cindy's been a rock star. I think she's been with us for about 90 days now. And then, I got Laney Butcher came on. She'd moved down here from a Prestonsburg office. Just the weight off my shoulders. I talked about the weekend without the phone, about how it's my favorite weekend. And when, she's got the phone, I literally don't have to worry. I mean, nothing's going to burn down. She's just a rock star. I mean,
Yeah.
and she's always throwing out great ideas, for marketing, things like that I might not be thinking of, in my weaker areas.
You're doing some renovations there in the Ashland office too, right?
Yes. Yeah. When I get a phone call, I'm like, it's not woodpeckers. They are tearing down something downstairs. So yeah, they are working on that as we speak.
Cool.
Hopefully
Can't wait to see it.
Well, man, something we're always working on is ideas in the fishbowl. I don't know if you're familiar with the segment or not.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, some of the recent podcasts, Jeff's thoughts in the fishbowl have just been exceptional. I mean, I'm talking Harvard and Yale have reached out wanting to know, could we get some of the ideas from Jeff? So this could be something really special here that we get today, or it could not be. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in here. I'm going to read one of these out loud, and then we're just going to discuss it. Okay. Do you think that a beer today tastes the same as it did 20 years ago?
Well, I guess I could have been drinking 20 years ago, couldn't I? I'm a lot older than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
A Heineken today, or anything, does that taste the same as a Heineken did 20 years ago?
I think every kid, when they have a beer at like 18 or 19, it probably tastes terrible to them. They just do it because all their friends are.
Oh, I mean to anybody, to an aficionado. Does that thing actually taste like it used to 20 years ago?
You think they've gotten worse?
Maybe better, maybe worse, maybe, I don't know. Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's amazing that they can mass produce any beer in these gigantic quantities in various parts of the world, and you can buy a Heineken in Japan or a Heineken in the Caribbean. They pretty much are going to taste just alike.
Scared me to death. I thought we were being shot at.
I'm going to turn that up on the next one.
Yeah, well, I don't think you could.
Well,
get an
so
amp
you
for
can
it.
mass produce it and it tastes pretty much identical, right? My question is, that taste that beer has, is that what that tasted like 30 years ago in the 1990s?
Oh,
I
Or
would think
does Heineken
so.
not taste like it used to? Now I'm going to really blow your mind.
please don't.
I don't think that there's any way that humanity could know the answer to that question.
If they slowly changed it.
If it slowly changed over the last 30 years, how would you or they or anyone else actually know it to a point where you could prove that?
Well, I mean, so let's take Pepsi, for example. If you have a Pepsi that is bottled in Franklin Furnace, Ohio, where there is a Pepsi bottling company, the water supply there is going to change the flavor of that same Pepsi that's bottled in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
So my
What's
guess
that have
is,
to do with anything?
well, my guess is it has just as much to do with where the product is made.
I don't think so, man. I think you can brew that beer in a big vat and it tastes the same no matter where it's made.
Then why?
I'm trying to introduce the element of time into this. 30, 40 year old, because you can't open a beer from 30 years ago. It would have changed over time or gone bad or stale or whatever, but it's going to be different. So how could we possibly know if it's changed?
It's definitely going to.
This is you definitely think it has changed?
Yes.
But this is what the hilarious point to me, I think the funniest part is. I think, no joke, maybe the best way to actually know if a Heineken has changed its flavor over the last 30 years
Time travel.
is just to ask some dude that's drank like 1 million Heinekens in his life. That's the most scientific answer we have to answer that question.
To ask the alcoholic.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Give me a better way to know.
time travel.
Next.
They can slowly change that. Like, if you bought a bag of chips lately, I mean, it's
yes.
it's like a fourth the way full. And they were like taking a chip away a year, I feel like.
Maybe. Yeah.
Now we're getting into conspiracies. This is
Don't
we're
get me
off
started about
track here.
conspiracy.
Josh, let me ask you something. Of all the months in the calendar, would you agree that August just isn't a great one?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of disagree. I love August. It's hot.
Big fan of August. I mean, it was only a month ago, so you probably remember it.
I hate cold weather. Not built for it. Don't like it.
Well, what do you think about August?
I'm in on August.
Why don't you like it?
Yeah, what happened to you in August? What hurt you?
I did like every holiday recently.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's hot. It's the hottest of the hot. Dog days, as my grandma would call it. There's no sports to speak of, really. I mean, baseball's, even baseball, the only thing on, has dragged on to where we're kind of like, all right, let's get to the playoffs already.
Is this because you can't get a turkey in August?
There's no, maybe. There's no holidays in August, really. I don't, it's just kind of,
Yeah. What's your least favorite month?
February.
Okay. Well, that's
It's quick.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
It's got a hatred for February.
Yeah, we could
It's
probably
because it's short. Valentine's Day.
We could spend a whole episode on this.
A lot of the same things. Sports is dead for a second. It's cold. Sun's not out.
Short days and long nights.
Can't go outside hardly at all.
Ugh.
You're just waiting for spring. That's a rough one.
I would agree with you on the February.
I
But
like
see,
August.
August to me is like the equivalent, except, well, it is 6 months later, isn't it? I'm just waiting for fall and football to get here. It's just a period of waiting for the next thing.
Just a hot February.
Now, if everybody who has an August birthday, that probably is going to strike you a little negatively, and I apologize for that. Because if you insulted September, my birth month, I would kind of be like, so I'm sorry about that. I'm not talking about you, but just for all the other things that come along with August.
You're just out. Okay. I think you're allowed to have that opinion.
I want some viewer feedback on this to see if I'm. Anybody agree with this? No? Yes? Yes and no and a kinda.
I like August. I'm in on August. So,
Well, you're wrong.
okay. Yeah. Well, Josh, that brings us to the end of this episode of the podcast, man. I don't think I've seen anything that's going to get us pulled down. So your concerns about having the the entire podcast canceled.
Yes.
Or probably been avoided. I mean, you do have a couple seconds there to slip something in if need be. But other than that, man, we really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate what you do in Ashland. I appreciate your friendship and your humor. And I appreciate the fact that you've called the Bargersville office out on beating them in this campaign. So we'll see what happens. All right.
I hope to.
Yeah.
You've been a superstar in the company for
Thanks,
years
man.
now.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.